Right, year 9. So our next transformation is translations. So translations are just like as if you literally pick a shape up and move it somewhere else. That's all the translation is, and we just need to be able to describe what's happened. But we're going to look at describing that in two different ways. Okay, so here's your general description. A translation is when you move an object right or left, followed by a movement up or down. Okay, so we've got three different shapes on our grid here. I'm on page 87 and you should be too. We've got three different rectangles, and they're just three versions of the same rectangle. Okay, now the order of the words is important here whenever we're reading our questions. So for part A, we've been asked to describe the translation from shape A to shape B. So A is our starting point and B is where we end up. Now if we're just asked to describe it, then all we need to do is say how many squares to the right or left and how many up or down they go. So to do it, you would pick one point on the rectangle. So I'm going to pick this top left one, and then make sure that you pick the corresponding point on the next one. So that's going to be that point. So there's no point in me counting from this point here to this point, because that's obviously they're not corresponding points for this one. So I'm going to end up doing my counting wrong. So describe the translation from shape A to shape B. It has moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 squares to the right. So 9 right. Oh, can't even see me. And 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Now, I also want us to be able to write that as a vector, so we're going to add a little bit into our notes. Okay, and there's actually notes on this on the other side of this page, which we'll look at in a wee minute. But if we were to give this information as a vector, we do it in this little funny bracket thing here. So inside this bracket we put two numbers. The number that goes on the top is how many squares or how many places you have moved horizontally. So for us, in this one, we moved 9 right. So if it's to the right, the number is positive. So we would just put our 9 in there. And then the number that goes at the bottom is how many places your shape has moved vertically. So if it's up, it's positive, and if it's down, it's negative. So we would write this as -4. Okay, so that would be the vector version of describing this, this translation. Let's look at B. So describe the translation from shape B to shape C. So from B to C. So again, if I pick this top left corner, that's going to be there to there. So this time from B to C, we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 left and 2 down. So 8 left and 2 down. And again, if we wanted to write that as a vector, it's like a vertical bracket, 8 left, so the horizontal one, remember, goes on the top. Because we put right in as being positive, left means it's negative, so it's -8. And 2 down, again, down is negative, so it's -2. If it was something that had moved up the way, then we would put that as a positive number. So let's look at the notes on these vectors over the page. Right, so this is our extension. To know this is our extension, but I think we can cope with it all, can't we? So we can use vectors to describe the translation. So they're written like this. If the top number is positive, that means you've moved to the right. If the top number is negative, that means you've moved to the left. If the bottom number is positive, that means you've moved up. And if the bottom number is negative, that means you've moved down. So for our two examples, a vector of 3, 4 means 3, because it's positive, to the right, and 4 up. So the bottom number tells you the vertical, top number tells you the horizontal. Because these are both positive, it's right and up. With this one, this means -2 means 2 to the left, and -5 means 5 down. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of work on that today as well. Okay, see you next day.